Good morning. Okay, mic's going good. I don't think I've ever scrambled to my table to make a video faster in my whole life because if I nail this might be one of the best videos I've ever done. I hope. I don't know, you be the judge. Uh, that being said, um, what a bold video title, right? Jesus. Um, so yeah, I had a couple experiences over the last couple of days that I feel have the potential of being such a powerful teacher. Um, that yeah, I just think it may possibly be crucial information to help understand things and process some things. Um, that being said, so this can apply to like, personal life stuff and to art stuff like we make here, because I dabble in both. Um, fuck. How did I just glue some shit in backwards? Oh no. Hold on. I think I made an epic goof here. I gotta verify. Fucking did I? Man, I think I glued some shit backwards. No? Let's not get distracted here. Alright, anyway. So, two experiences that happened to me today and over the last couple of days that I feel will really illustrate something that I feel like if you really want to learn anything, like how to fix your fucked up life, how to fix your fucked up art, Jesus, this really applies to all of the above because you have to learn to be a receptive listener and a receptive learner, or you're gonna make no progress and be like, I don't know why, they think this ain't working right, or I'm not making the progress I want to make. Two stories. The first, I'm gonna go back and touch on my previous video. When we went to Hobbytown in Georgia, we met this dude in the shop. There were several dudes in the shop, and those guys, the staff of that store, are just absolute treasures of human beings because like they're so knowledgeable. But the thing is that you have to remember and understand is that even treasures are flawed. Because think about it, like when they rate a jewel or a diamond, jewels and diamonds are treasures, right? But even they're rated by how they are flawed. God damn. I'm sitting here just fucking this model up. I really gotta stop this. I just really broke the arm. I'll fix it later. Anyway, yeah, even the best treasures are gonna be flawed. And I met a guy in there, and we don't know his name. We call him Norm because he looks just like Norm from the Beaten Boss videos. But dude was an absolute treasure. We had so many conversations about like stuff that he knew, and he's an older guy. I'm guessing he's in like his 50s. So I was just listening to him, like, man, this guy can teach me some shit. And he taught me about this tool, and this is a gnarly tool that he knew about for shaving off theme lines and stuff. Uh, Way to go, Norm, on calling me on this tool. But there was also a thing that had made me have to stop and process, and I'm like, oh, there's a nugget of wisdom in there. And that was, and I might be explaining this wrong because I am not the one doing this. My buddy Darrow is the airbrush guy. I don't airbrush that much. I like a little bit, but I am like a 1 out of 10 skill level on airbrush. Okay, Darrow is pretty damn good. If you look at his work, it'll speak for itself. You can be the judge on that. But he's airbrush. He knows what he's doing. He knows what has and hasn't worked for him. And he was talking about, and I believe he has a master airbrush, and I believe he said he was running lacquers through it. And man, that guy about had a fucking conniption fit. He's like, what are you talking about? You're the only, not like angry. He wasn't angry, but he was just like dumbfounded and like in disbelief, I guess. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, nobody runs lacquers through master. What model, what are you running through? How? I was like, there's no way. He's like, every time anyone's ever run it through it, it blocks it up. And the thing is that Norm might be right. He might actually be right because Norm's probably been doing the hobby longer than we have. But Norm's reaction speaks volumes on something. Is that if you really want to know the answers to stuff, because Norm very well could be right, but Norm could possibly be wrong because I know Darrow is not a bullshitter. If he said he did it, I believe him. Like that's just one thing I know about Darrow. So if he says he did it, he fucking did it. And he said that he's run that paint through that airbrush without it eating through the O-rings and immediately fucking up the airbrush. He's like, I've done several kits with it. I would wash it out. And dude was just kind of dumbfounded. And he just seemed like he didn't believe him. It was kind of a response of like, I'm not calling you full of shit. but I don't believe you, but I'm going to be polite about it kind of response. And I could have been wrong reading that because sometimes I read signals wrong, but that's the vibe that I got out of it. Otherwise, here's the thing. it, it, I know that Darrow is telling the truth. And if this is the case, if I were that guy, that sounds like a big nugget of information that completely changes what you know about that model of airbrush and those paints. If that guy were truly receptive to that information, he should recognize there is just a possibility. There's just a possibility in there that this guy has found something new that made something possible that wasn't possible before. Because it's chemistry, you guys. Paint running through a paintbrush, working on kit. It's all fucking chemistry. It's all science. It's all physics. None of this is wizardry. Like, other than my amazing ability to just fuck shit up when I'm in the middle of talking. It's none of it's wizardry. It's all science and chemistry. There's probably something in that equation that Norm doesn't know about that even Darrow is not aware of. There may be something he's putting in the paint that causes it to not be so volatile and eat through the O-rings or something that he didn't know. But what he did was he responded and didn't immediately start digging because like that information needs to be filtered. If there isn't a possibility that Darrow is right and knows something this guy doesn't, then that information needs to be examined and find out why it works. But he didn't. He wasn't like, if I were Norm, I would have been like, I need to know the exact model of airbrush you're using. I need to know the exact brand and chemical of paint that you're using. I need to know what kind of stuff that you cut the paint with. I would need all that info, and I'd do research on that. And then if I couldn't find the answer, because I'm not a chemistry genius or nothing like that, I'd go find some people that are, because man, there's a chance that there's some kind of amazing information that because you're like, whoa, you know, you missed some information there. Norm could have missed a gem because he didn't gather more information, and he'll never know because he responded the way that he did. And like I said, Norm's a treasure, but even treasures aren't perfect, okay? There's another, and then there's the first story. Here's the second story. Before I go to take my walk today, I go to find my glasses. I'm like, fuck, I can't find my glasses. And this is a success story versus that's kind of, I don't want to call it a failure, the first story, but it's like a room for improvement story. And this is a learn from success story. I go to take my walk today and I can't find my glasses. And man, when I can't find my glasses and I can't find my keys, y'all, it fucks me up. And if you're like me, which I think a lot of people, when you like lose your keys or you lose this or that, you start to like panic and you're like, ah, God damn it. And you know that in that moment, you're very likely not going to find the thing that you're looking for. And sometimes you have to recognize like, oh, I'm getting wound up about it. I got to pause, because you know that's how it happens sometimes. And you got to pause, or you got to call somebody in who's not wound up to help you look for the glasses. Here's the challenge of me looking for the glasses. First, my emotions start to get wound up because I'm like, oh my God, I'm running out of time. I got stuff I got to do. I want to go out and get my walk and get back and do this stuff. And then the second is, without my glasses, I have vision issues. Like, why do you think I wear glasses? And I'm literally not going to be able to see these glasses because I can't see sharp edges because things further away are blurry. And I have to recognize those two limitations. I know that I need to get those glasses. I want those glasses as quick as possible. I know that I'm not going to be able to see them. And I tried first. I'm like, okay, I have prescription sunglasses. I'll put them on and maybe you'll be able to see them. And I wasn't seeing them. And I know that, okay, we took out the filter of my vision's blurry. But then there's still the I'm feeling wound up and I'm not able to focus on my hunt, right? And I know that there are limitations there, but it's like, I need to find these glasses. How do I overcome this limitation? So I had a light bulb moment of, what do I know about these glasses that'll make them easier to find? They're glossy, they're shiny. So I know that if I'm looking too hard for sharp edges with those sunglasses on, I'm not going to be able to see it because I'm focused on too many tiny little details. Take the sunglasses off. We're only going to focus on the shininess of that object. So I take my sunglasses off. I put my flashlight on my phone because I know it'll be shiny. And like, I found them almost instantly. I looked downstairs. I looked upstairs. I looked in my bedroom. I looked in my laundry hamper once. And then the second time, no glasses on, no sunglasses on, the flashlight. Boom, there it was right in front of my face, sitting there in the laundry hamper. And it'll take me an hour to find that shit. Because I recognized the limitations of my trying to search at that moment. And I had to shut that down and find a way to find it with better tools, with better information. These are two pieces of information to teach you something, is that your tools, unless you're perfect, if you're perfect, then you have no reason to watch this video. But if you're not perfect, then you need to be watching this fucking video. Most of you out there are treasures. You're wonderful, amazing people that have a lot of wisdom to give me. That's just a fact, okay? You're treasures, so don't take this as like an offense. But I mean, literally, like, unless you're perfect, then you should probably be absorbing this information. So when you're getting information, it's getting filtered through your brain. And we talked about before our limitations of our perceptions, and that is just a recognizable thing. And I just talked about limitations of my perception and limitations of perception in 2 stories there. So we know that's a thing. When someone gives you information, oftentimes our gut instinct is to try to process it as quick as possible and respond. And the problem with trying to process these things in the moment is our filters. And think of it like a literal filter. Let's just say you're out there in the stream and you're trying to pan for gold, right? And you got a little filter to filter like the precious stones from the non-precious stones and just get the water and the non-precious stones out or whatever. If you recognize that your filter is not perfect, then there is a possibility that you're losing your gold with your non-precious stones. If someone is giving you good knowledgeable information, whatever that is, whether it's how to find your glasses, or whether it's how to fix your personal life issues, or whether it's how to build a model better, because this applies everywhere. If you're running it through your base filters and you're not taking the effort to take those filters out, you're very likely filtering out treasures that you're like, oh, this information is garbage because you never got a chance to get the treasures because you filtered them out before you even got them. When someone tells you stuff, the lesson here is stop filtering. Back to my other points in the video, turn your fucking brain off. Your brain's full of filters and your brain's filtering shit out. If you take that information and you try to filter it and you don't just take that information in, you're very likely filtering out treasures. And then you're like, well, I don't see how there's anything of value in here. This doesn't match at all with what I feel about your advice on gluing a model. It doesn't match at all. I've done this, this, and this. But unless you're going to allow it in without those filters, then you're probably filtering out some stuff that you don't know about, unless you are perfect. And how does it look like to not do that? You have to be willing to do the following. You have to be willing to tell yourself that ask yourself the source. What is the source? Like, I am your source for building models. I am your source for talking about trying to fix myself. How does it seem like it's going for me? Does it seem like it's going down? Does it seem like it's going up? If you feel that my quality of model building is going up, then perhaps you feel that I have some information for you. If you've noticed that my mental health seems to be going in a better direction, then perhaps I have some information for you. Perhaps there's some jewels there. So when I try to give you information, if it seems like you're not getting what you want out of it, then perhaps you need to recognize that you got to turn those filters off. So basically, you have to take that information in unbiased. You just have to take it in and process and let it soak. Let it soak in you like a tea bag in tea. Let that information soak in. It's not gonna kill you. Like, you might be afraid of like, oh, this person's wrong, and then they're gonna what am I gonna do? Am I gonna tarnish you with my wrongness? No, dude. If you're truly right and I'm truly wrong, then what are you afraid of letting that information in? Then you'll truly examine the information, because I had a conversation with a friend of mine that was very obvious to me that there was a lot of heavy bias on what was being thrown my way. But I knew I'm not perfect. So this person was like, you're wrong about this, this, and this, and here's this information. I could have just been like, this person's kind of being an asshole, and then I'm not going to listen to what they have to say. But I knew that that's my ego. That would be my ego talking. And I knew that if there's any chance that I'm wrong because I'm not perfect and this person has information, I have to be open and receptive to it. So that person gave me information on something, and I took that information in. I read every page of that information, because, like, what am I afraid of? What if my friend's right and I'm wrong? I need to know. And I took that information and I didn't sit there and I'm like, read one page. Yeah, this is bullshit. One page in, I'm like, yeah, I've made my assessment. No, I read every fucking page of that information. I read every page of that information, and I took it to 2 other people because I really wanted to be sure. I really want to make sure I 100% soak in that information. it did turn out that that I was correct about that information, but I never would have known for sure unless I had respected that person's information and taken it in wholeheartedly, gave it the chance it deserved to be examined, to come back with a proper conclusion. So I'm hoping this is all coming together. I'm hoping it's making sense because, like, God, I sort of got the struggle for me is like, how do I put these things into words to make them make sense to other people? It's the hardest part because words are just such a betraying thing because, like, you may be trying to say something and the words come out wrong, and then it's just like, fuck, mission not accomplished. But I'm trying to show you because I could tell you this stuff all day long, and if you don't apply it, it's never going to make any sense because I could tell you this thing, and it's like you can sit here and evaluate it, but no, you have to make this firsthand information. That's why you have to soak it in because you don't know if I'm telling you the truth or not. You have to let it in. You have to trust yourself to let it in that it's not going to kill you and let that information soak and marinate and think about. I'll give you another one. This tool this guy gave me. My assessment to you now is that this tool is pretty cool. Norm said this tool is like when you want to take seam lines off a model. He's like, it's like spreading jam on bread. It just zips them lines off. And here's the thing. My assessment now is that this tool is badass. Norm had some wisdom, but he didn't quite explain it well. But I bought the tool because I knew this guy's been doing shit forever. There's got to be something. So let's check it out. Let's give it a chance. I brought it home. I tried it out, and initially it wasn't working the way that Norm explained it, and I could have been like, this thing ain't as good as I thought it was. But I was like, maybe Norm just didn't explain it enough. So I kept fooling with this tool, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, this tool is the shit. I had to figure out how to use it properly because it wasn't fully explained to me. You don't just like jam on butter. You got to figure out which is the sharper of the two edges, kind of. You have to figure out the correct direction, whether it's a push or a pull. You have to make sure you're holding it at the right angle so you don't gouge the plastic too much. And if you do all these things, it does do what Norm said it would do and remove a lot of excess plastic. I had to take Norm's information and I had to really try, not half-ass try, not half-ass examine, full-ass examine, shut my brain off, really try it, really give it a chance, and then it became first-hand knowledge. First-hand fucking knowledge. God, I hope I make sense here because this is something, it makes so much sense to me that it makes everything make sense. Is that, but going back to all my other videos, it's all about turning your brain off because your brain lies to you. Your brain fills in gaps with shit garbage. And when it does that, your brain fails you. You don't get the results that you want. You don't get the results in feeling better about your self-esteem. You don't get the results in a nice looking model. You don't get the results that you want. But open your eyes to the reality and ask yourself, what am I wanting to do? What are the results that I'm getting? Am I getting the results that I want? What are the results that other people are getting? Compare the realities. Is it possible this person knows something I don't know? If they're having pretty good results and I'm not, they probably got some knowledge I need to know. Otherwise, they wouldn't be having success. You know what I'm saying? And this, like I said, this applies across to everything, across like my building experiences, because like I thought I really knew a lot of shit. I'm gonna tell you another one. I'm just giving you another one. Sorry, it's a long fucking video. You can watch it as long as you want and then leave when you're done. I don't care. These God hand nippers. I shit talk God hand nippers. I was wrong. I saw that I got these. These are nice. These are $35 USA Gundam Store nippers, and they're good. But are they perfect? No, they are not. But they're $35. I'd say they're a better value. But I kept seeing people buying these God hand nippers and breaking them and thinking like, oh, these are fragile pieces of shit. I had friends telling me they're fragile pieces of shit. But I think my last birthday, if I recall correctly, I had birthday money to piss away. And I went and got these. I'm like, hell, let's just find out. I was watching, I believe, Chaka Falcon on Instagram show how to use these properly. And then I discovered that actually I've been wrong about these for a long time. That the reason people break them is because they use them wrong. And that these actually do make a difference. They are a little better. They're a thinner blade. When I actually had them in my hands and not watching a fucking video and not listening to someone's commentary, I was able to look at the blades side by side and see that the God hand blade was thinner. So it gets closer to the plastic and makes a closer cut. And I wouldn't have known this unless I had fucking taken in someone else's information and given it a chance. Because look, I know a lot of builders that make really cool stuff, and I see them use God hand, so there must be some success in there, right? So I'm like, okay, let's give it a chance. What are the people that are having success doing? Because I see what the people who don't have success are doing. The people who post on Reddit about I broke my God hands are like dropping them on the floor, or they're cutting too thick a piece of plastic because it's thin metal. You're gonna break the metal if you're cutting something that's too thick because it's a sharp blade, therefore it's a fragile blade. What are the people that are succeeding doing? What are the people that aren't succeeding doing? Base your opinions on reality, because your opinions from what's in your brain are probably shit garbage. And I know I'm just like keep hammering the same point, but I'm hoping that, like, if the first two stories don't get it, the third story or the fourth story will. But yeah, you got to filter out that shit garbage, you guys. And you do it by turning your brain off, and you do it by observing, not through your biases, observing purely, allowing it in without letting your gut stop anything at the door. Your gut is a shitty doorman, is a shitty bouncer at the bar, and it's stopping cool people from coming in your party. Sometimes it's good to have a doorman. You need to have some kind of a doorman to be like, keep some of the riffraff out, but sometimes your doorman is too strict. And in a traumatized person, a strict doorman is an amygdala that's too sensitive because of a lot of trauma. And that amygdala, that doorman, is literally like not letting anybody in the door. And then you wonder why isn't anything changing? Why am I not seeing anything? Because your amygdala is just stopping everything. I'll give you a test to give to yourself. And this is more on the mental health than the model building, but it still probably relates. Do you ever find yourself, if you're having mental health struggles and mental health issues, do you ever find yourself doing everything you can, and you may not be aware, but ask yourself, do you find yourself running away from the quiet? Do you find yourself when there's no music on? Do you find yourself when there's no TV on? Do you find yourself, if you're just out there thinking, that you get a feeling of fear that you have to retreat from? Does that sound familiar at all? Do you have to run back to the security of watching videos or listening to music or listening to books to make that feeling go away? Because if that sounds familiar, then that is a symptom of an overactive amygdala. That is your smoke alarm going off when it shouldn't go off. Because in that present moment, there's no immediate danger. If no one's coming after you with a knife, if you're not in trouble with the law, in that immediate moment, if you're not in actual fucking danger, and you feel a feeling of anxiety and terror that you must retreat from, that is an amygdala being triggered when it shouldn't be triggered. And that is a sign to listen for. How about that shit? And you recognize that. That's what I'm saying. You got to recognize these problems. If you're going to deal with these problems and shut down the problems, you have to do all that shit. I know it's a pain in the ass. I don't like doing it either. I'm sitting here just fucking tearing apart my model. It's just tearing apart this model is a sign that I needed to do more cementing, and I will. I will, damn it. That's why I'm not upset about this fucking broken peg, because, I mean, it's not the end of the world, and I just got to fix it. But, I think that was sufficient. I think that was a sufficient amount of stories and metaphors to paint the picture to you. So, to try to sum it up, and I'll try to sum it up here. If you find that in your hobby and your life that you're not making the progress that you're making, if you're seeing others, peers, that are making progress that you're not making, if you try to figure out what they're doing and then you're not getting anything out of it, very likely your biases, your anxieties are filtering out nuggets of good things, little nuggets of gold that you need, that you're wanting. You're not even getting the gold. It doesn't even make it to you because it got stopped by the shitty doorman. Sometimes, I know it's nice to have a doorman, but sometimes you got to tell that doorman, go sit the fuck down, because you're stopping all the treasures from coming in and taking that information. If someone tells you, like me, that teaching yourself to be mindful will teach yourself that the anxieties come from an illusion, that you have to recognize those things, and that if you do this, if you've been having not a good time and you start to apply mindfulness and you do these things, you may find that you start to feel good about things that you never felt good about before. And that may become a truth for you, but you won't know unless you do it. You can't just take someone's word and be like, oh, he told me a thing about mindfulness, I believe it, and now I'm better. No, you have to apply it. And you have to continue. You have to be patient too. That's another thing. I guess that's a really, it's just as important as everything else I've said in this video is that you have to be patient with yourself. You have to understand that in most circumstances, bigger goal that you're chasing, the bigger thing you're trying to do, the bigger mountains to climb, the bigger the mountain, the better the view. The bigger the mountain, the more steps. You can't just climb Everest in 3 steps. You climb Everest in thousands and thousands and thousands of steps. And it may feel like 10 steps means nothing because you've taken 10 steps and you look at the whole of the mountain, you're like, I've made no progress. No, you've made 10 steps of progress. You've got to be patient too. And I know it's hard because that's the hardest thing is like, not only am I asking you to try to do a thing that you may not believe, but I'm also asking you to do it for a long period of time or you're not going to reap the rewards. And that's a tough fucking pill to swallow. But in life, in general, but not always, the better things require more work, more time. It took me weeks and weeks and weeks of practicing mindfulness, so I really started to see the benefits to like really see the difference. I mean, shit, it's kind of a common knowledge thing that for a lot of people, building positive habits can take months. Everyone's different, but sometimes it takes months. And man, that's a big ask in today's world to commit months to anything. But we know it's true. So do you really want the change? Do you really want to feel better about yourself? Because that's what's really going to decide this. Do you really want to be a better model builder? How bad do you want it? How willing are you to try something, to really take a gamble on a big try if you see other people succeeding? Because if you want it bad enough, you can do it. But you have to want it enough or you're not going to stay committed and then you're going to fall off. And it's not because the method didn't work. It's because you didn't want it bad enough to stay on it. It doesn't make you a bad person either. Tough. Sometimes it's dopamine. And listen, I have ADHD. My brain has dopamine deficiency. So, there's a reason why this gut isn't gone yet. But there's a reason why this gut will be gone soon because everything else that I've applied so far with these methods has worked. And I'm ready to apply those methods to getting in shape and getting healthy the way I want to be. That's been today's talk. We're just coming short of 30 minutes. Holy shit, what a video. Hope it's good. Hope it's not bad. Hope it's not rambling. Hope you have a good day. Hope it's relevant. I hope these things help you with whatever you're trying to do. And we're going to keep on doing it. We're going to keep on layering these things unless I'm just totally wrong. I mean, go find out and tell me if I'm wrong. If I'm not wrong and these things keep working for me and they're working for you, we'll find ways to apply them so we can become happier people. We can become better artists. We can become better family members. You can become better members of our community and be what we want to be. Because I'm going to end this with a statement that my therapist really seems to like that I kind of hooked up, is that I believe that there are 2 versions of us as a person. There's the person that you are, and there's the person that you want to be. And the closer that those 2 are together, the more in harmony and the more at peace you will be. And that's all I'm trying to do. Whether it's with my art, whether it's with my soul and my well-being, I'm trying to get those 2 to be closer and closer together. It'll never be perfect because I'm not perfect, but I know the closer it gets, the better it'll be. And that's the path. That's the journey. There is no destination. It's just a journey. It's a constant thing in motion. So anyway, y'all have a good one. Hope this video doesn't suck. See you later.